Welcome back. This is Jeff Byers. This is Project 2, Lecture 10, and we're going to talk about how to apply your Substance Painter maps that you created onto your object. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, go ahead and select your object, and let's just double check the UVs, make sure they're all there, and they are. So let's go ahead and move that over. And we need to add a quick texture, a shader. So let's go ahead and assign new material. And we're going to go to Arnold shader, we're going to go to AI standard surface, and we're going to rename this something like headphones or whatever. Alright, so with that done, there's a couple things we're going to look at. We're going to look at the color. The color map needs to go into the color slot. The metallic map goes into metalness, into that slot. The roughness map needs to go into the roughness channel slot, and under geometry the normal map goes under the bump mapping slot. So we'll go ahead and add those right now. So under color, I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Click on file, next to file filter type, I'm going to turn that off. You need to make sure that all your maps are in the source images folder, and you need to make sure you set your project so you can get to them. If you are fumbling around trying to find them that you didn't set your project folder, this won't work. So I'm going to click on my base color, click open, and with this one the color space is sRGB and alpha is luminance is unchecked. Okay, to get back and forth we need to click on the box with the arrow that goes out. Next to metalness, we're going to click on that slot. We're going to open up File, turn off the filter type, and go ahead and select my metallic, which is black. Click OK. This takes some time to open up. Color space is raw, so we find raw in here. And if you scroll down, alpha is luminance is checkmarked. Okay, let's move that back up again. We're going to go back out. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into roughness. Okay, and we're going to click on the file. We're going to go to off on the filter type, and we're going to find the roughness map for this one. Click on open, and this will be a raw image as well. Okay, all right. And we're going to scroll down here, and roughness will have an alpha map is luminance. That will be checkmarked. Okay. We have one more to do. So we got our color, metallic, and roughness maps already in. And the last one is under geometry, and it's bump mapping. Click on the slot for that. And we will go in here and checkmark tangent space normals. We're under next to bump value. We're going to go into that slot and click off for filter type, and let's go ahead and find our normal map for the headphones. There we go, and click open. This one will be a raw image file like the other ones, and we're going to scroll down and click off of alpha is luminance. Okay, alright, what we're going to do is we're going to go back. I go back one more. Okay, so we're going to go back to the top here next to color slot. We're going to click on that, and under UV tiling mode we're going to turn that off from that to UDIM Mari. It tells us that it found 14 tiles, which is correct. We want to make sure it's high quality, and we want to click on generate preview. Okay, once that's done, give it a few moments and then click back out again, and we're going to do this for the rest of the slots. For the metallic, click on that, and we're going to go into tiling mode and click on UDIM Mari. If you don't do this, your tiles will not be found. Click on generate preview. Wait for a moment or two, and we're going to go down to the roughness. Again, do the same thing. UDIM Mari, 14 tiles found. Click generate preview, and we got one last one to do. Click on bump mapping, and we have the tiling mode is still Mari, and then click on generate preview. Alright, so that's all done. We got everything finished. So click off of that, and we're going to click on the object itself, which takes a while to propagate. And I'm going to move the UV editor, and you notice that we've got some things going on here. We've got the colors, actually the base colors are all on the object, which is great. So I'm going to move that back over here. That's good news for us. And we're going to go to make sure the object's selected, go to renderer and viewport, and in the option box you can click on regenerate all UV tile preview textures. The reason why they have this in here is that you don't have to go in there and try to load everything up again. It will find all your textures and reload them for you. So let's regenerate. Okay. So if I go in here and I save this object, save scene as, or save this object by itself, I'm going to call this headphones, and texture FIN, finished. And let's do like 01 or something like that in case I run into issues. Save that out. It's always a good idea to save everything out. So if something goes wrong, I can go back in here and figure out what happened to it. So, and sometimes things get a little slow. So I want you to delete your history. You can click on that, or you can go to Edit, Delete by Type History. Okay, so we're just about done. What we need to do now is we need to make sure we generate, or excuse me, we go into and select a light source for Arnold so we can see our textures. So I need to create a sky dome light. Okay. And with that sky dome light, I want to use color temperature. Okay. And we're going to turn the color temperature to around like 6,000. Okay, that just adds a little tint, just a little warmth to it. The intensity, that's way too high. Let's do something like 0.5. Because we want to be able to see the bump and the normal map. It's really hard. They're really hard to see if the lighting's too bright. I might even go lower than that, depending on what kind of lighting we get. And you have to bring in a key light. And if you have a 3-point light system, that's even better. Let's go to Create, Lights, and Directional Light. Make sure that we're centered in here. So I'm going to do that. And then our directional light's way down at the bottom, so let's go ahead and just kind of scale it up and rotate it around a little bit. There we go. Okay, this is kind of situated here. Alright, so in this light we want to turn on Arnold and use color temperature, and we want to do 6,000 degrees Kelvin, and then exposure something like 0.8, and the intensity 0.8 as well. Okay, it's easy to get carried away with your renders. Now, one of the things I do want to mention is that your metallic surfaces won't really look metallic unless you have an HDRI image. So go to HDR Haven. That's called the HDR Haven, and pick out a really cool HDR image and place it on there. I'm going to pause this and get one really quick so you can kind of see what's happening. Okay, I'm back. I went ahead and got Delta, if you guys are interested in HDR Haven. It is Heaven, but we just call it Haven. We're going to go in here to select the object, and under color, or next to color, we're going to go ahead and pop in the HDR image. So we're going to go to File, and we're going to go to Off, and this will be a raw file as well. So we're going to go into the image name, and there it is, this very large file. and click on open. It needs to say .hdr on it for this to work properly. So I'm going to click on open. It takes a while. This is a big file, 8K. Alright, great. It's a little fuzzy, but that doesn't matter. Okay. And click on the object again and make sure this time we don't want to use the color because we want the actual map to add light. And you can see right here in the preview that we've got that dome light working now. So we've got all our maps on. Everything looks good. Intensity is at 0.5. That's okay. And if we don't want to see the image, we can turn. And now I've got the sky dome selected. So if you scroll down and open up visibility, you can actually turn this all the way off. It still reflects the same. Okay. You just don't see it, which is kind of cool. If you want to see the background image, you can. I prefer not to. Let's move in a little bit closer. All right. The reason why metallic surfaces don't look like metallic surfaces is because when you actually click on them, when you apply them, you need to have a environment to reflect. So they don't look reflective. All they're doing is reflecting the color of your scene, which is either black or gray or white or whatever it is. So we need to give it something to reflect. Okay, that's important. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up our the renderer. So I'm going to go make sure Arnold renderer is open. If you don't see that, you'll have to go to plugins. Okay, so basically Windows, Settings, Preferences, and Plugin Manager. So we're going to have this at the lowest settings right now, just defaulted. And so it's not going to be a fantastic image, but it will get us going. And you also want to have your image size to set up at HD 540 just for real quick renders. Okay. Now I've had some issues with PNGs. Again, if this doesn't render properly, we'll go ahead and I'll go through the process of doing a JPEG or a Targa. But we're going to go ahead and move right along. If you want to see what the image actually looks like, we'll go to Arnold and we're going to go to its renderer. And this may take a few moments to have it open up. Hopefully it will. It's got to pull in all the textures and convert them over to conversion that it understands. So we'll let it do that. And there are some quirks, kind of quirkiness. I don't think they worked out all the bugs in UDIMS yet. I mean, it's still pretty new. So one of the bugs is you don't see the preview textures, obviously. But it's pretty spectacular when it does work, and you can see that it's working perfectly. Wow, that looks really great. So you can see when I rotate around, it's pretty amazing. You can see all the textures are showing up. I can zoom in. Okay. You can see my alligator skin back here, which is really cool when you get up close. And this is when you can kind of look at the texture and go, well, I could have done a little bit better. And you can see why metal needs to have the environment. Look at that. You can see the clouds in the actual texture itself. Without this, it would be very difficult to get right. You can see in here we've got a nice looking reflection off the metal. So this is looking really great. I'm happy to share the textures. In fact, I'm going to do that tonight for you guys. Today's Friday, So I'm going to get all those textures that I put on here and give to you, and then I'm going to give you the HDR image that I used today too as well for the videos, and I'll try to get that done by tonight. So you can see everything's looking pretty good. You can see the nice looking object here, and then you can see the bumps on here, the divots in there. So everything's looking really, really, really good. I'm very, very happy with that. So, alright, so now you can see how wonderful and fast, if I wasn't sitting here telling you how to do it, how fast you can actually create these textures for this object. Okay, so when you're all done, I would highly recommend that you save your file. And that's it for today.